As The Walking Dead prepares to launch its 7th season, continuing the saga of Rick and his ever-evolving group of survivors, we figured it's the perfect time to give you a quick recap of the events leading up to, well, you know what. So here's a refresher for those who'd rather not spend 2.5 days binging the series up to season 7. I'm Brian Mitchell, and this is the Skybound Rundown. The series begins on a desolate open road, devoid of life except for an approaching car. Enter Sheriff Rick Grimes, walking alongside abandoned cars in search of gasoline. Along the way, he encounters a young girl turned walker, whom he's forced to put down. A flashback takes us to Rick and Shane, two police officers responding to a high-speed pursuit. After laying spike strips to stop the suspect's car, things go awry, and Rick is wounded, but his vest saves him. When he wakes up in the hospital, he discovers a world where he doesn't recognize anyone, and most of humanity has turned into walkers. As Rick sets off on his journey, he crosses paths with Morgan Jones and his son Dwayne, who provide him with shelter and a means to adapt to this new reality. They practice dispatching walkers and eventually head to the police station to arm themselves. Rick then heads towards Atlanta. While on the road, Rick broadcasts a message in hopes of contacting other survivors. To his surprise, he receives a response, and other survivors join him on the way to Atlanta. Once in the city, they discover it overrun by walkers. Rick's group encounters Glenn, who helps them navigate the dangers of the city. They also encounter Merle Dixon, a hothead who ends up causing trouble, resulting in Rick handcuffing him to a pipe on a rooftop. The group realizes they need to escape Atlanta, and the plan involves covering themselves with walker blood to go undetected. Meanwhile, back with the group, Shane lies to Lori about Rick's fate, saying he's dead. This leads to a heated argument among some of the survivors. In Atlanta, Glenn steals a car to distract the walkers while the group escapes. Despite some obstacles, they manage to get away. However, Rick loses his horse during their escape. In the second episode, the survivors face the aftermath of their escape from Atlanta. They mourn the loss of those who didn't make it. Jim, one of the survivors, reveals that he was bitten by a walker. The group decides to relocate to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC. On the way to the CDC, the RV breaks down, and the group must deal with a horde of walkers. They are saved when Dr. Edwin Jenner opens the doors at the last moment. Inside, the group learns that the CDC is the last remaining outpost of the government. In a flashback, Shane leaves Rick behind at the hospital as he believes Rick is dead. He blocks the door with a hospital bed and flees, setting in motion the events of the series. The group meets Dr. Jenner, who reveals that the CDC is running out of power and will self-destruct in a process called decontamination. Rick asks Jenner for a chance to escape before the facility is destroyed. Dr. Jenner opens the door, and the group rushes to safety. As they drive away, the CDC is consumed by explosions. Andrea and Dale decide to live, and there's a glimmer of hope as the group heads into the unknown. That's a quick recap of the events leading up to Season 7. Stay tuned for our weekly recaps as we catch you up for the season premiere of The Walking Dead. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like, and comment on the video below. Thanks for tuning in.